I think we got it. Thanks, Brad, for setting that up as far as the information that would come out of an assessment and what we would do as a water provider and how we would integrate that into an action that we can go down the road of pursuing treatments on the landscape. So as we were working with Brad, we knew that the timing of this assessment was heavily influenced by a collaborative effort between Colorado Springs Utilities and the Pikes Peak Ranger District to initiate this Catamount Forest Health and Hazardous Fuel Reduction Project. As reflected in Brad's presentation, we knew the results indicated there was significant wildfire risk threatening our water supplies, as well as the potential for a lot of post-fire flooding that would affect public safety, water supply, and other natural resource values here locally that was understood. Not that these issues weren't known, but the assessment did provide a good scientific approach to quantify the conditions, locations, the scale of the hazard areas. That was helpful for me to go to my leadership and say, this is the situation that needs addressed to protect our water supplies. This is the anticipated kind of long-term project work that would be needed to be done, and the funding that would have to be involved to help support that effort. Excuse me. So in the spring of 2009, the Catamount Environmental NEPA was commissioned under the purpose and need to protect municipal water supplies for Colorado Springs, the city of Manitou Springs, Green Mountain Falls, and the town of Cascade. It was also to reduce fuels and high wildfires in the wildland-urban interface areas of Colorado Springs, Green Mountain Falls, several small communities dotted around and within the project area. Improve overall forest health and resiliency, and reduce the risk of severe post-fire flooding and debris flows. So back to the map, as Brad mentioned, we got Colorado Springs here, the Ute Pass corridor here going up to Woodland Park. So the Catamount area pretty much was about 100,000 acres. About 68,000 of that was on U.S. Forest Service land. Colorado Springs Utilities does own about 15,000 acres within the project area. Elevation, we're coming right out of the springs here, all the way up to the summit of Pikes Peak was within that project area. So, looking at all the different vegetation types was part of this environmental analysis to look at what was feasible given the goals. But, the proposed action ended up being about 21,000 acres of treatment respective to ponderosa pine, limber pine, Douglas fir, aspen, and oak shrublands. Specific actions, would be dependent on site-specific conditions of the vegetation type, and actions would include thinning, creating openings, and following up with prescribed fire. A combination of mechanical harvesting equipment and hand treatments would be the primary treatment techniques. So with Brad's results that came out of the Pikes Peak assessment, this is kind of where the rubber hit the road, working with this EA and pushing that information to the Forest Service. And through that environmental analysis and the public process in NEPA, the watershed wildfire risk results were, incorporated into the evaluation of the treatment areas in accordance with the risk management and vegetation goals of the project. This was with a focus on the types of treatment techniques, road access, and other constraints analysis to get kind of to that final priority treatment map, which is this here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse icon, but you can definitely see where the treatment area is outlined in the northwest part of the treatment project area. So that's kind of where that component of the results ended up. And you go to the next slide here. This gives you a better idea of where those priority treatments outlined in white fell within the high hazard and moderate high hazard watershed areas, where we did have a lot of our water infrastructure located there. Unfortunately, we did have some components here of the roadless area. Brad's map showed it a little bit better. So we do have areas that were within roadless that we're unfortunately not going to be able to get to currently under the NEPA that's been finalized at this point. But, we are looking at going into further analysis with the Pike Ranger District to look at some of these areas in roadless, given that the roadless rule does allow for treatments for protection of water supply if there is wildland and urban interface, or there were specific, if there were agreements that involve federal lands prior to the finalization of the Colorado roadless rule, those agreements would preempt the final rule. So there are opportunities. We just have to go back and reevaluate those specific areas and kind of follow the rules that are going to limit us or not. So this map is not fully up to date, but it does reflect, many of the completed treatments that are starting to bring a landscape scale change to the north slope of the Catamount project area. Here in green, the green treatment polygons, those are work that's been completed by the U.S. Forest Service. We're probably looking at about 3,000 acres that have been done thus far. The brown areas, those are actually treatments that are occurring on Colorado Springs Utilities land. And so the yellow is our property. And again, you can see down to the south end or the bottom of the map around the reservoirs, those kind of brownish treatment areas. We're kind of getting a nice circle working around the roadless area. That's kind of the intent. We keep working our land in conjunction where we can do treatments with the U.S. Forest Service. We've also got to the north of the two reservoirs, there's kind of aqua blue treatments. That's work that's being done in conjunction with CUSP. We're working with them to do work on private lands as well up there, as well as the State Forest Service is doing work. So, we're going to have to figure out this piece with roadless. We may be able to do work along the Pikes Peak Highway corridors, expand into there, create some better fuel breaks using the Pikes Peak Highway. You run into a lot of, above timberline situations. So I think we've got some more opportunities. We just have to reevaluate a little bit how we're going to approach trying to stop fire. We know we can't treat everything, so it's going to be a matter of more strategic treatments for wildfire suppression planning. And I guess one other piece in here too is a lot of discussion we're trying to get started about how to use the Good Neighbor Authority to access treatments that we can do on U.S. Forest Service land coming in off of Colorado Springs Utilities lands. I think that may be a real key to the future treatments to tie some of these projects together the way we hope we can do the best we can with what we can go out there and actually treat on the ground. Just kind of a quick overview of our water collection system. Right here, down here at Colorado Springs, most of the work we did in the Catamount treatment area was down in this area. I'm not sure if you're seeing my icon or not, but the two pipelines that run out east, we collect water over near Summit County. We also go as far as Turquoise Reservoir over there by Leadville, that we're actually collecting water over there. And we've actually gone through wildfire risk assessments over in those areas as well, using Brad's. There we go. So we've done one over there called the Tennessee Creek Project. and we're getting about 13,000 acres worth of treatment over there. Again, using the final composite map that was inputted into the environmental assessment. The next one that came up is the Upper Monument Creek project. We're currently going through NEPA with the Forest Service right now. Hopefully that'll be done at the end of the year. And that should generate about another 20,000 acres out of a 70,000 acre project area. And, you know, we didn't use that, the assessment that Brad has shown. They actually did use the Forest Service used their integrated fire risk assessment model, which kind of, you know, it's a spatial characterization of fire likelihood and intensity, spatial identification of highly valued resources and assets, and it's, again, a quantitative representation of likely fire effects to highly valued resource assets. So there's other systems and models out there, but you know, it's what we're using for this particular project. I'd like to say, you know, kind of concluding here a bit, that as a member of the Colorado Watershed Wildfire Protection Group, following all those fires, it's been a very good and proactive group that's helped to bring a lot of attention to priority watershed concerns, as well as developing a functional asset tool for us water providers. I mean, we have so much land out there that we're collecting. I know we operate across 11 counties, and trying to nail down what's important, what do we need to focus on. It's been a very good, productive group to work with. And, you know, again, using that stakeholder process as part of the assessment, you know, not only do you get results driven, but it fosters a lot of partnerships, funding strategies. It's just a really good process to go through. And, you know, most notably, you know, with the list of key players here, you know, through these processes, we've developed each one of these a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. Forest Service, where we are looking at working in these priority watersheds, bringing millions of dollars in funding to get this work done. So it's been very successful. It's taken some time to get these collaboratives built, these partnerships built, but it's really been through the basis of these assessments that has really sparked all this interest. So I know on behalf of Brad and JW Associates, I just want to say thanks for partaking today, and if you have any questions, this is where we're at.